Explore, capture, conquer. This is the headline of the world's very first IBG, Illuvium. What's an IBG, you might ask? Apparently, it means Interoperable Blockchain Game, a term seemingly coined by Illuvium themselves. Nonetheless, their highly anticipated open beta launch was just a few weeks ago, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. I've already reviewed Illuvium once before, during their closed alpha test over a year ago. If you've already seen that video, then you know my opinion. I thought Illuvium was a flavorless attempt at a creature-collector auto-chess hybrid, except without any of the entertainment from either of those genres. But the loyal fans of Illuvium thought otherwise, and many implored me to return to the game at a later time. With Illuvium approaching its 4th birthday next month, I figure now is a better time than ever to give it another chance. So, have they managed to improve optimization, allowing me to run the game without my GPU melting? Has their play-to-earn model made their investors wealthy beyond belief? Do I have any self-respect remaining? This and more on today's episode of Performance Report.
Uber for Jeff?
Yes.
A little bit of backstory might help here, since these crypto games all blend together at this point. Illuvium was originally announced in early 2021, with a promised full release in 2023. Well, 2023 has long since passed, and the game still hasn't fully released, but open beta counts for something, right? Many crypto games don't make it half as far, so credit given where it's due. Illuvium Studios was founded in 2020 by the Australian Warwick brothers, newcomers to the gaming industry. They pitched a revolutionary game, one that would allow players complete ownership of their digital assets, fully tradable in a self-sustaining digital economy. Wow, I've never heard that one before. Illuvium is more than a game, though. It's an IBG, remember? This interoperability is offered through the company's 3 concurrently developed titles: Illuvium Overworld, Illuvium Arena, and Illuvium Zero, a third-person shooter, an auto-battler, and a city builder. With these 3 different offerings, Illuvium aims to offer a game for everyone. Sort of a lofty ambition, if you ask me. You've never made a video game before, but you've decided the best way to start is by trying to make 3 simultaneously? Wouldn't it be best to maybe, test the waters first, see how the team works together, do something small like a game jam? Despite their lack of track record, the Warwick brothers managed to sell over $120 million in virtual land and NFTs for this unreleased game. This is not including the additional $60 million they secured from venture capital investors. Remember, this was during the early days of NFT mania, when games like these were popping up left and right. This ridiculous amount of hype led Illuvium's crypto token to skyrocket to nearly $2,000, briefly carrying the Warwick brothers' net worth into the billions. Again, all of this happened in 2022, but after only 2 years, the same crypto token is now worth only $40, an impressive fall of 97%. But that's not important. Crypto games are only half crypto. Part of it's still a video game, and those are usually pretty fun. It should come without saying that Illuvium is still in beta, as all crypto games are. That means that we should expect the game is mostly feature complete, but still in need of a little polish. That's okay. I've dumped dozens of hours into games that are still in alpha. Good gameplay is addicting, even if it's a little rough. As Steam has presented itself as hostile to crypto gaming, Illuvium resides on the ever-despised Epic Games Store. I gotta say, it's really starting to grow on me after all these years. They give me free games without any sort of obligation, all while providing me with enough shovelware to make a lifetime of videos.
Lem, Black Keel insists we set course for Illuvium.
But I can feel it. This is Illuvium.
Scans indicate a dead planet.
When will we fulfill our duty?
Your duty is to Black Keel.
Cole knows something I don't. I need to know how this ends.
Officer Herc, let me resolve this peacefully.
Enough. She won't decide our fate.
At least we know some of that money went to a good use. This cinematic is nothing short of impressive. If the gameplay is even a fraction of this quality, it would be literally the greatest crypto game ever made. After 30 seconds of a black screen, I'm brought to the game's character creator. Customization is limited, with only a few face, hair, and skin color presets to choose from. Not like it matters, because I can't even see what my character looks like. It would appear that the in-game camera has what can only be a thin layer of Vaseline smeared over its lens. Ah, finally, I can see. Our character is awakened from what appears to be some sort of cryogenic chamber, and we're fed a series of tooltips offering an explanation of the game's controls. This includes important activities such as moving with WASD, looking with your mouse, and holding shift to sprint. Going against the recent trend in crypto games, Illuvium has opted to use real human voice actors. However, the lip syncing is of a particularly poor quality. I don't think it was convincingly in sync for as much as a single second.
Cadet, complete your training on the lower deck.
Heading down the elevator, I stop by the armory to grab some new clothes and a weapon before continuing to the simulation room. This section serves as a more thorough guide to the nuanced aspects of Illuvium's controls, specifically moving and shooting. These advanced movement techniques are sliding, double jumping, gliding, or using a jetpack. It's nothing too groundbreaking, and some of the animations look really goofy, but it works and feels somewhat fluid. After completing this short obstacle course, we're directed towards a massive obelisk outside whatever training facility we were just in. Activating this teleports us to Brightland Steppes, one of Illuvium's overworld zones. Let's stop for a moment and take in the view. It's overwhelmingly purple and green. They chose the most fluorescent colors, giving the world a plastic, toy-like feel. It's an interesting visual style, but it's not one I'm particularly a fan of. Our next mission requires the collection of ore and plants, which can be found from nodes placed randomly around the map. They can easily be identified by activating the visor, which highlights nearby collectibles and allows you to see them through walls. This drains your stamina, indicated by the purple bar in the middle of the screen. Since actions like gliding and jumping also drain this, it's important to limit your usage of the visor. Resource nodes can be shot at with your charge beam, directing your robot assistant to collect them. This can be done at any distance, and everything is collected with a single blast, so long-range gathering is a breeze. But just as soon as we've collected our rocks and plants, our first alluvial is encountered. Nice, time for some third-person shooter combat. Whoa, hold your horses. These guns don't harm the creatures. You want to capture them, not kill them. When you approach an alluvial in the overworld, they immediately start trying to run away from you. You'll need to use different movement options to close the distance, all while shooting them with your weapons, filling the purple bar at the top of the screen. Once you've shot an alluvial enough to fill the bar, they're transported into what's referred to as a pocket dimension. Approaching this portal allows you to teleport inside, changing our perspective entirely. I don't even know what I'm looking at. What's going on? The game just changed genres to an auto battler without any explanation. Well, I only have one option here. Click start.
Void, take it! This one's too much! Bark, pull them out! Now!
Come on, game. What was that supposed to teach me? I immediately lost, and I didn't learn about the gameplay at all. I understand the narrative implications of losing your first battle, but at least give me the slightest hint as to what I'm looking at. Despite the rather slow and uninteresting first 20 minutes of Illuvium, I'm already sweating. This is because my graphics card has climbed all the way to 100 degrees Celsius, raising the ambient temperature in my office. This is frightening, to say the least. The poor optimization was a significant problem last time I played. I'm not seeing any improvement at all between now and last year. If anything, the large open world maps make the problem even worse. It's not like this game has fantastic graphics anyway. It looks like every other generic Unreal Engine game, and the art style is too stylized for the high-resolution textures to even make a difference. The demanding requirements to run Illuvium definitely make it less accessible for the average gamer. I have the second most powerful graphics card on the market. There's really no reason it should ever run this poorly. But how does it run on a computer with more average specs? I tested the game on another machine, with specs just above the recommended ones. Now, it's practically unplayable on any setting above medium, and it struggles to maintain 60 FPS on the lowest settings. Returning to the tutorial, I'm now being directed towards a sort of base camp, where I learn about crafting. The materials I shot at in the last area can be forged here to create items, which are used to fight and capture alluvials.
Okay, now you might have a chance. Head back to the obelisk, and let's get it done.
Searching for revenge, I return to Willy Wonka's nightmare to rematch that alluvial, called a Doka. Running and gunning him down for a second time allows me to return to the arena. To give me the upper hand this time, the game gives me a free alluvial of my own, a Graco. This arena game mode is clearly heavily inspired by auto chess games, a genre that had already been done to death by 2021. However, there are plenty of differences between this game and the well-known ones like Teamfight Tactics or Hearthstone Battlegrounds. Your characters are not random, and there's no shop or re-rolls or currency or anything like that. Instead, you build your party ahead of time, like a deck in a card game. Once you're in the match, you spend energy to place an alluvial on the board. You can also equip them with one-time use consumables that you get from shooting the plants in the overworld, giving them more power in combat. This immediately got me thinking, isn't this kinda counterintuitive? The whole concept of auto chess is designed around chance. Every turn, you're offered a random selection of pawns to purchase, and you have to worry about managing both your bankroll and your army composition. Since each match is completely random and independent from the last, everyone begins on equal footing. But look at Illuvium. You always know ahead of time what you're going to bring into battle. You can just build the best team and win every time. Where's the fun in that? We'll come back to this in a little bit. After I win the battle against the Doka, I'm presented with the option to catch the creature to keep as my own. This is where I can use the shards I crafted earlier. But since there's only a 60% chance of the capture succeeding, all my rock blasting efforts might have been in vain. Perhaps beginner's luck, the capture succeeds on the second try, leaving me with a few Eluva balls for next time.
Got it! Doka's secured. It's all yours now.
Nearing the end of the tutorial, we're brought again to the hub world, where we get to choose between one of 3 drone robots to assist us in our journey. These basically boil down to different active abilities. I picked the one that gives me extra movement speed. And that's it. Just 30 minutes after first launching Illuvium, I am set off to explore the world on my own. My final piece of guidance suggests a visit to the mission board in the center of the island, so I'll head there first. These just seem like randomly generated missions. Collect 30 of this, 10 of that, fight 12 alluvials. Jeez, these are gonna take forever. And I have to complete them all today. These are all dailies. I don't want to do this. I want to quit already. The tutorial wasn't fun at all, and I have to play on piss low settings to get anything above 60 FPS.
You cannot quit. This is your fate.
That's right. It's my job to endure the pain and keep at it until I either see the end or fall asleep, whichever comes first. Time to check every nook and cranny on the island. Maybe there's some cool Easter eggs or something. Not that I can find, just a couple of NPCs scattered about. None of them have anything to offer aside from throwaway strings of dialogue. Alright, back to the overworld then. Returning to the map, I want to take a moment to talk about the game's stage system. The overworld can be entered in one of 4 stages. Depending on your choice, the quality of materials and alluvials within increases. However, only stage 0 is free to enter. Anything higher costs money per trip, in the form of fuel. As far as I can tell, there is absolutely no way to get this fuel aside from buying it with real money. I will definitely be trying this later, but let's just give the free stage 0 a shot. With the restrictions from the tutorial lifted, I'm free to explore the Brightland Steppes on my own. It's massive in scale, but almost devoid of anything interactable. Collectible ores and plants are sparse, so you'll really need to use the movement abilities to speed up the process. There isn't exactly any skill required to find or collect these nodes, since they're highlighted and visible through walls with the visor. Just walk around until you find one, then click on it. But everything is so spread apart, I've walked around for 5 minutes without seeing anything collectible at all. This is apparently such a common complaint that Illuvium even has an FAQ item addressing it. Why can't I find any resources, spelled with 2 S's, in the overworld? The overworld is not empty. On the contrary, it's filled with resources. You just need to know how to look for them. Press H to use the heat map, revealing spawn locations. This is useless. The whole damn map is red. Is this some sort of joke? Every time you fight an alluvial or harvest a resource, you lose some energy, indicated in the lower right corner. Deplete this, and you get kicked out of the overworld, ending your run. You also have health, but there aren't a lot of things that can cause damage. The alluvials never fight back when you shoot them, and you don't take fall damage either. As far as I could find, the only damaging creatures are these random clouds of bugs that shoot at you when you're nearby. Blasting them with your energy rifle briefly stuns them, but I don't think you can actually kill them. Not like any of this matters, since there's no penalty for dying. You just immediately respawn back at the start, and you don't lose anything in your inventory. Unfortunately, I'm starting to run out of things to talk about. This is actually the entire gameplay loop of Illuvium. Enter the overworld. Collect rocks until your energy runs out. Return to the base and craft shards so you can catch monsters. Return to the overworld. Catch a monster. Go back home. Stare at your new purple monkey and question the choices in life that led you to play Illuvium at 11 PM on a Thursday. Rinse and repeat. I don't think this is fun at all. The third-person sections are really just a glorified clicker game, and the actual battle and catching is nothing more than a cinematic Skinner box. The only thing this game challenges is my patience. Minecraft Story Mode on Netflix has more interactive gameplay than this. But hey, maybe it's more fun at Tier 1, the part that costs money. Time to buy some fuel. This was easier said than done. We already know how complicated and cumbersome dealing with crypto is, but Illuvium takes it to a whole new level. Clicking the purchase link in-game takes you to the Illuvium website, where you can log in with your immutable passport, a sort of single sign-on for crypto games. As expected, we can't use a credit card. Ethereum only. Illuvium won't be helping you get that Ethereum, though. You're on your own. This can either be annoying or borderline impossible, depending on your country of residence. Since I'm in the United States, the safest and easiest way to get Ethereum is by using a centralized exchange like Coinbase. If you've never had a Coinbase account before, it's time to accept that you won't be buying any fuel today. New accounts must go through the legally mandated review process, which can take either a few days or a few weeks. Once your account is approved, you can purchase Ethereum with a linked bank account or debit card. But hold on, we're still not there yet. Ethereum can't be transferred off of Coinbase until a few days have passed and the funds have settled. On average, I would say this entire process takes about a week and a half for your first time. This barrier to entry is massive, predominantly so if the user has no prior cryptocurrency experience. Crypto games, Illuvium included, constantly tout about how they want to onboard what they refer to as Web 2 gamers who have no experience or interest in crypto. If this is what they call a good onboarding, then they're scaring more people away than they'll ever attract. However, if you already have some Ethereum like I did, funding your account is actually not too bad. In this case, I just transferred the Ethereum from my outside wallet to the game wallet, and after a 30-minute wait, the money was finally available to be spent. There are 3 types of fuel available for us to purchase. Their functions are as follows. Krypton allows us to travel to stage 1 and above. Hyperion is used to craft the shards that capture Illuvials, and Solon is required to craft weapons or suit upgrades, like an improved jetpack. Oh, okay. So all 3 of the game's actions require real money currency to perform. Great. I purchased the $8 starter bundle, which gave me a small amount of each type of fuel. This will allow me to travel to stage 1, but I can't afford to scan the region before traveling there. I need 300 Solon to do that, but the pack only gave me 288. What a joke! Regardless, this is the premium content, so it better be interesting. Oh, it's not. The gameplay inside the different stages is functionally identical, although the higher tiers feature different, stronger Illuvials and higher quality resources. I tried to fight an Illuvial here, but to my surprise, I can't catch them. This is because the shards I gained from the free stage only work on the Illuvials in stage 0. To catch the ones here, I need to use shards crafted from the resources found in stage 1. Alright, well, I'll just go collect some rocks and craft a shard then. Never mind, because I can't craft while I'm in the overworld. I need to end the run and return to the hub to do that. Now I'll have to pay the entry fee again to go and attempt to catch the Illuvials. Better hope the capture doesn't fail, because then I'll have to do another run after I go home to craft more. Would you look at that? My capture failed every time, and now I have no more shards. Time to buy more fuel. This is starting to give me big Entropia Universe vibes. Just about every conceivable action in-game is associated with a real-world monetary cost. And you're not even guaranteed to get your money's worth, since the capture attempts might fail, or maybe no rare Illuvials spawn in the first place. This entire gameplay loop feels like a giant loot box, and it's absolutely not worth the cost of entry. Stage 1 trips cost $1, Stage 2 cost $3, and Stage 3 trips cost $10. Considering it was taking me about 15 to 25 minutes to complete a run, this $8 starter pack gave me enough fuel for about an hour and a half of Stage 1 gameplay, if you can even call it that. It almost feels like an arcade game, constantly demanding quarters. If you don't pay up, you just get to stare at this shiny demo screen. Actually, I take that back. Arcade games are fun. But this is no accident. Spending lots of money is how the game's intended to be played. In fact, Illuvium's CEO himself says that the average player needs to spend $30 a month on Illuvium to have a good experience.
Now, in terms of how much money you want to spend, I think it's going to be somewhere, to have a good experience, it's going to be somewhere around like that $30 a month mark.
Same as with any other crypto game, this high cost is justified by the theoretical ability to earn money by playing the game. In Illuvium, practically every in-game item can be sold on the Illuvidex marketplace, Illuvials included. So technically, you could sell the fruits of your labor for a couple bucks. Only problem is, most of these items are worthless. Most resources are being sold for fractions of a cent, and even the strongest Illuvials are only a few bucks. You would almost never be able to sell your items for enough profit to cover fuel costs. Marketplace volume isn't that high either, suggesting that there's next to no demand for Illuvials. And why would there be? Isn't the entire point of the game to catch them all? If you're just going and buying the best one, you've skipped what little gameplay Illuvium has. You just instantly win. Congrats, I guess? Alright, that's enough of the overworld. It's pretty boring, and I'm gonna go broke if I keep trying and failing to cash anything. I should probably mention this, since you might be wondering, but the overworld is an entirely single-player experience. If you're interested in interacting with other people, Illuvium recommends you try the second game, Arena. Calling this a second game is sort of a stretch. I'd say it's more of a second game mode, but I digress. Arena is the PvP version of the auto chess battles in the overworld. There are a few different variations of the arena, each with slightly different rules. Survival, a PvE wave survival mode. Last for 40 rounds and you win. This is the mode that I played in my last Illuvium review. It was really boring. It has also been solved, and you can look up a guide to find the perfect team composition that will always win. Ascendant, the classic 1v1 ranked mode of Illuvium. You can use any alluvial and weapon crafted in the overworld or purchased on the market, but they'll all have equalized stats. Stage 3 alluvials are still stronger than Stage 0, but all Stage 3 alluvials of the same type have identical stats. Leviathan. I don't think this mode works yet, since I was never able to find a match. I think it's the same as Ascendant, except the alluvial stats are not equalized. I didn't mention this before, but alluvials caught in the overworld have randomized stats, so two of the same creatures could have vastly different power levels. I can assure you that this mode will only be played by whales, willing to spend the money on the alluvials with the best stat rolls. And lastly, the Gauntlet, which is the classic auto chess game mode you'd find in something like Teamfight Tactics. You know, with the shop and the re-rolls and merging 3 units to get stronger ones. Surprisingly, this mode has exactly 0 players, and you will only ever face against bots. Since Ascendant is the primary ranked mode, and the only one that has any players, I'll just focus on that one. Since I haven't caught 50 alluvials of my own, I'll have to use one of the free starter decks. Whatever, I don't care anymore, just let me play the game. After about 3 minutes waiting in the queue, I found a match. A game of Arena Ascendant is 7 turns long. At the start of each turn, both players place their alluvials on the board. There is no card draw or anything like that. You can always pick any alluvial in your deck. However, there is an energy system, so you can only play a certain amount of alluvials per turn. Once you're happy with your team placement, you press start and watch your team get destroyed. At the beginning of each turn, you'll get to choose one of 3 random items that you can give to your alluvial. Other than choosing items and placing alluvials, your influence is rather limited. If you just picked a deck full of alluvials that are weak against the ones your enemy picked, you're probably just going to lose. Pretty much the only other input you have is in the mode's namesake activity, Ascending. Every turn, you gain Ascendant tokens, which can be used to upgrade one of your alluvials into their Stage 2 or Stage 3 versions, more powerful evolutions of the same creature. However, to do this, you actually have to own those higher stage alluvials and have them in your deck. If you only have the Stage 1 and Stage 3 version, you're SOL. Alluvials of higher stages must be played in sequential order. You can't skip stages. A team full of Stage 1 alluvials will be completely useless, and the only way to get Stage 2 or higher alluvials is by using fuel in the overworld, or buying them off the marketplace. If you're not willing to spend money, then this game mode is a complete waste of time. Anyway, I played it for an hour, lost every match, and then decided it was time to move on. So far, there has not been a single moment during my 3-hour play session where I could say I was having fun. It's actually insulting. I'm being fed gameplay you couldn't pay me to sit through, yet you're gonna ask me to fork up $30 a month to get the full experience? Do you think I'm stupid? Oh my god, I almost forgot. There's still another Illuvium game I didn't play. Illuvium Zero, their attempt at a SimCity game. This is gonna be great. Clearly, this is designed to be played on a mobile device, but whatever. The PC version will have to suffice. This is disgusting. No tutorial, no help text, no direction, no introduction, nothing. I'm just plopped in front of a plot of land where I can tap to construct buildings. Why should I want to do this? I just click, then wait a minute, then click again. This is brain rotting. Apparently, this program has something to do with Illuvium's virtual land, plots of which sell for a couple $100s, somehow. When you purchase a plot of land, you go to Illuvium Zero to place buildings. These landowners are the economic backbone of Illuvium, and by working their land, they improve the game's economy. Except, none of this provides any real value. It's all artificially created for the sake of having a reason for people to buy land. I'm not even gonna attempt to play this game. I've had enough. I previously referred to Illuvium as the final boss of crypto games. This was because it appeared to have the highest budget. They boasted their talented team of over 150 employees, working together to create the world's first AAA crypto game. And if you saw the early trailers, you might have believed those claims. But it's time to face the reality. This is Illuvium. You cannot defend this by saying, it's a beta, it's still gonna get better. The core features of a game don't fundamentally change between beta and release. A beta is for ironing out bugs and adding a final coat of paint. I've played prototypes with more in-depth gameplay than this. It's almost laughable how directionless this game seems. What's perhaps even funnier than Illuvium's gameplay, though, is how frequently their community compares it to Pokemon. Have any of these people ever played Pokemon before? Illuvium is as much Pokemon as fingering your ass is picking your nose. Oh, sorry, I guess I forgot the part of Pokemon where you're trapped in Pallet Town until you spend $5 an hour to go on Route 1, and the part where you have to pay 50 cents per Pokeball, or maybe the part where there's no story or progression and you just do pointless tasks. Oh, catch 92 Diglets, fight the first gym 15 times. I don't ever want to play this again. The entire concept is rotten. It's a hyper-optimized siphon from the wallets of the players to the pockets of the developers. I legitimately cannot wrap my head around how someone can find this entertaining. And I'm not just saying that to be funny, I am dead serious. My distaste for Illuvium grew to a point where I began to doubt myself. Am I just biased? Is my brain cooked from having played so many bad crypto games? How can real human beings have spent thousands of dollars investing in this game? How did 200 people work on this? I have to be missing something. I need a second opinion. Someone unbiased who loves video games but has no idea what a crypto game is. My brother.
Have you ever played a crypto game?
No, I have not.
Do you know anything about crypto games?
No, I do not.
Okay. So the game that we're going to have you play and give your unbiased opinion on is called Illuvium. Have you ever heard of this game before?
No.
Okay, ILL.
Okay. I guess I'll just edit my character. Oh wow! Is this normal?
I don't know, it did it to me too. This must be normal.
Oh my god! Finally, a game for people without glasses. Okay, I don't know. I'm not sure what my character looks like. Okay, great. Alright, whatever. Is the whole game gonna look like that? The movement in this game is so strange. Oh jeez, this is running bad now. What happened to the game? Oh my god! Okay. Okay, we're gonna stable 30 FPS. Unless I shoot, then the frame rate goes down. But yeah, I'm so excited. Let's hop on Illuvium, guys.
Well, hold on, there's no multiplayer.
There's multiplayer?
No, there isn't.
Oh, I thought this was an MMO. What? Am I healing him? Why is his health bar going up? What is this? Oh, I'm getting 7 FPS. Oh no. Oh no!
Oh no!
Okay, hold on, I can. Okay. Alright.
Oh.
Okay. What is this? What am I playing now? So, there's Teamfight Tactics also. How do I start earning money in the game? What is this? Pokemon? Yay! What is this? Am I pick? Is this my starter? Okay. I guess I'll do a casual job. So we'll fight this guy. I don't understand why this combat system is like this. This is really dumb.
It's not fun?
No, it's not fun at all. Why couldn't the game just be this? I mean, this would be fun either, but it would be better. I like the Lesser Earth Doka. Not the Graco so much. Who is like, yeah, I'm gonna sit down after work, after my 9-to-5 job, I'm gonna go on Illuvium.
What do you think of their approach for this map design? It's huge.
Yeah, it's sprawling. Every time I turn my camera, the game lags.
Do you think it could ever be improved to be fun?
Improved to be fun. I mean, yeah, if they get like real game designers on it, and maybe more tutorials that explain like the auto battler pass, like it's the most in-depth part of the game, and the tutorial for it starts running at 7 frames per second, and then you immediately die. And then you can go back and then win. And they don't explain like the monster types or what they do or their abilities, or the fun part of Teamfight Tactics is like the strategy, making comps. I don't know how to make a Rocco comp. There's no explanation. I mean, I've never played a crypto game before, but if they're all like this, I don't want to ever play it anymore. So there's nothing more to this game. It's just go to the different mine rocks and catch.
Yeah, that's the entire game.
Before concluding this video, I want to take some time to peer into the mind of the Illuvium community. Do they share my opinions on the game and its gameplay, or are they addicted and playing every day? As with any crypto game, public Illuvium discussion is centralized within their Discord server. Here, investors and players alike share their thoughts and opinions regarding the game's recent beta launch, both positive and negative. The primary point of contention seems to be the game's monetization. A majority of the player base is unhappy with the high costs and poor return on investment. So much so that there is a 500 post long thread where the community discusses how they can convince new people to join. They acknowledge that there is nearly zero incentive for anyone not invested to play at this time. The player base is hardly growing at all, which has left nearly all investors in the red as Illuvium prices continually decline. Like with many crypto games, the biggest profits were those of the earliest investors, including the friends and family of the game's founders. During these early stage seed sales, private investors were able to purchase tokens at a discount price, between $1 and $3 each. Considering the token was once valued in the thousands and still hovers around $40 today, they must have been quite happy. But let's talk about the Illuvium economy, because despite it being a tremendously boring topic, I'm insane enough to find it interesting. ILV, the Illuvium crypto token, isn't directly linked to the gameplay. Instead, it's what's considered a governance token, and those who hold it are able to vote on proposals made by the game's leadership. In theory, this allows the players to set the direction and goals of the game's development. Additionally, holders of the ILV token are promised a share of the game's revenue in the form of a dividend. Yes, revenue, not profit. Unfortunately, due to the fact that Illuvium doesn't make much money, revenue distribution has yet to happen. From reading speculations in their Discord server, it seems that they might do the first distribution soon, but there hasn't been any official announcement as of the time I'm writing this. Regardless, we can still calculate the expected distribution that ILV token holders should receive. Currently, the revenue distribution wallet holds about $1.3 million, with about 6 million ILV tokens deemed as eligible for revenue distribution. That would equate to about 28 cents per token. This is the equivalent of a savings account with a 0.006% interest. Okay, so it turns out that revenue distribution actually just happened the other day while I was editing this, so these numbers are a little bit wrong. The real revenue distribution was about 0.04% return on investment, and the reason for that was they determined that a lot fewer people were eligible for the rewards than I had estimated, so congrats. With these numbers in mind, you can understand why many of the investors are frustrated at the lack of revenue. Thus, they've volunteered their time to try and rope in new players by any means, as without new blood, the old will never see a profit. This is because Illuvium, and to an extent all crypto games, are zero-sum games. The developers always need to make money, that's for sure. Otherwise, the game wouldn't exist. But the players, or investors, also want to make money. That's the only reason they're here in the first place. There is no way in which everyone involved in this situation wins, monetarily. If anyone is making money, it comes at the expense of another. While many would describe this as a Ponzi scheme, I prefer to use the bucket analogy. Imagine that Illuvium is a bucket, and in order to play the game, you need to toss some money into the bucket. Once the bucket is sufficiently filled, the developers will take out however much they need to keep the lights on, because if there isn't enough to do that, then they have to shut down. So immediately we already have a problem. If 10 players put in $1 each, and the developers need to take out $5 to keep the game running, then there's only $5 left in the bucket, but 10 players who want to make a profit. How could that ever work? Currently, almost all alluvials and items on the marketplace sell for below their crafting cost, making playing the game a net loss. This is due to there being almost no demand for any alluvials, despite the supply constantly increasing. Because of this, the community's taken it upon itself to try and figure out ways to increase demand for the Illuvium NFTs, hopefully allowing them to finally dump their bags and get out of their investment. Allow me to share some of my favorite ideas I found in the Illuvium Discord. Alluvials should die and get deleted forever whenever you lose in battle. That way, you need to constantly buy or catch more, increasing the inflow of money. We should reduce the spawn rate of alluvials and resources even more, making everything more scarce and therefore more expensive. We should give players access to all the stages for free, but everything they collect will be soulbound and untradeable. The idea with this one is that the players will get hopelessly addicted to Alluvium's amazing gameplay. Then they're more likely to spend money on NFTs. And my personal favorite suggestion, adding one-of-a-kind super rare alluvials with overpowered stats, which give whales something to dump money into for guaranteed wins. There are dozens more of these ideas shared every day as the community continues to spiral into a deeper state of desperation. As far as the size of said community, there's really no way to know for sure. The Illuvium team is reluctant to share any information on the game's actual player count, but we can sort of estimate it. Looking at the Alluvidex marketplace, you can see that there are 16,860 owners of alluvial NFTs. Since every single alluvial is an NFT, and everyone gets 2 of them just for completing this tutorial, we can assume that at least 16,860 people have played the game at least once. However, not all of these are unique players, since the game's encountered a bit of a botting problem recently. Illuvium held what is known as an airdrop campaign to attract new users. These airdrops are rather common in crypto games, and they serve as a way to reward people for their time spent playing and sharing content related to the game. Because these games are often not very fun or well made, organic growth is pretty much non-existent. But what if we paid people to play the game by giving them tokens proportional to how many challenges they complete? That sounds like a great idea that would never be exploited. Anyway, the Illuvium Council is currently voting to retroactively change the reward structure for these airdrops. Apparently, a large number of players were creating multiple accounts and using scripts to get an unfair advantage in the challenges. Who would have thought? According to a graph shared in the Illuvium Discord, the company currently has about $12 million in their treasury, with a safety buffer of an additional $5 million. This equates to a bit less than 11 months of operating runway, considering the game only brings in about $500,000 per month. But remember, they still have to share a portion of that with the investors as part of the revenue distribution, even though they aren't overall profitable. This is almost like if AMC started offering a dividend. It just doesn't make financial sense. What's even more concerning, at least to me, is the average monthly expenses of $1.7 million. With Illuvium having nearly 200 paid staff members, they've got a lot of mouths to feed. Again, I'm not a professional game developer by any means, but I don't understand how they can justify those costs. With Illuvium spending to date nearing $60 million in 4 years, and their team of 200 people, they're comparable to some of the most successful AAA games of the early 2010s. What has all that money been going to? What do these people do at work all day? It's not like they built the engine from scratch, they're using Unreal 5, one of the most widely used and well-documented engines. I'd argue that the poor cost-to-quality ratio is caused by the team's decision to split their focus across the 3 different games, especially since this is a brand new company with no experience making or releasing anything. It feels like they dreamt too big, overspent, and are now trying to figure out how to pick up the pieces and dig themselves out of the hole. But who knows, really? The founders of Illuvium are already tremendously wealthy. There are a litany of articles hailing the Warwick brothers as some of Australia's most successful young entrepreneurs. They already won, and they could have left long ago, but they haven't. While one of the 3 brothers would leave the project for personal reasons, the remaining 2 remain heavily involved, hosting frequent town halls and sharing updates regarding the project's direction. I have to commend them for this. This commitment is uncommon in crypto games. Most of them would have already taken the money and ran. To conclude this section, Illuvium's future is unclear. The community is mostly unsatisfied with the current state of the game, citing high costs and a lack of incentive to play as primary deterrents. The token's performance is underwhelming, and investors are disappointed with the lack of public reception to the open beta launch. Personally, I really can't see Illuvium surviving much longer without a significant change of course. They are 4 years in, and the product that's been delivered is devoid of any substance. Everything feels lifeless, empty, and bland. There's no discernible story, and no motivation to do anything in-game. It really feels like the creators just thought of a bunch of ideas that sounded cool and threw them together, without any concern for how well they actually fit. The overworld is a glorified loot box, except you don't get to use your prizes in an actual good game. Nobody would play this on its own, as aside from spending money until you collect all alluvials, there's no goal. The arena mode is inferior to just about every other auto chess game, and the low player count and pay-to-win aspects make engaging with it a waste of time. And the city builder, that's not even worth talking about. Not only is it lacking any sort of onboarding, there's no reason to play it unless you own Illuvium Virtual Land. Almost everyone who bought land did so during the pre-sale, far in advance of the actual release. But now that the land actually has a use and you can play the game, nobody wants to buy land. In the end, Illuvium bit off more than they could ever fathom chewing. This is something that often happens with newly founded game studios, especially those making live service games. It's an extremely competitive market, and making a successful game is difficult enough without the crypto aspects. But without any real strengths and a whole lot of weaknesses, Illuvium might go down in history as one of the worst crypto games of all time. I'm writing this as if I'm sad or disappointed that the game sucks, but that's really not the case. I knew this was going to be a failure ever since I played the alpha, but I do feel bad for the people who bought into the hype and invested their hard-earned money into the game. Some of the stories shared on Twitter or in the Illuvium Discord are just heartbreaking. People working minimum wage and struggling to pay rent but still investing in Illuvium. One person even shared that they're living on welfare, yet they bought Illuvium land. That's just the danger with these crypto games. They operate in a quasi-legal manner and make vague promises of investment returns. The fear of missing out is strong. I mean, just look at the chart. It went to $1,000 once. Why couldn't that happen again? The community only reinforces this belief. Negative opinions are shunned and an echo chamber of positivity is formed. Buy the dip, they say. Don't want to miss out when we go to the moon. But it's not just Illuvium that has this problem. It's not even just crypto games. This same type of pattern is found in meme stock communities, like our old favorites GameStop. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Illuvium used to be partnered with GameStop. Fitting, right? At the end of the day, there's really no such thing as getting rich quick. Investing into this kind of stuff is an absolute gamble, and most of the time, the cards are stacked against you. And most importantly, if you're already down 90%, you're doing yourself a disservice by sticking around. It pains me to see people wasting hours of their days researching and posting about investments they've already lost thousands on. The cult of bag holding is real. Hell, there's still an active internet community discussing Bed Bath & Beyond a year after the stock was completely deleted. Money comes and goes, but time is a limited resource. The anxiety and stress from staring at charts all day undeniably has some sort of effect on your overall well-being. I'm not just saying this to be preachy or act like I know better than anyone else. Instead, I'm speaking from experience. Not just my own, but from the dozens of people who have reached out to share their personal stories of being a bag holder. It's draining, and the relief you finally get when you sell is absolutely worth the short-term monetary loss. But that's more than enough about crypto games for today. I hope you all had a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. I'm John, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.